Veterans Art Foundation is a 501c3 that takes artists who are also veterans and propels their work into the mainstream creative arts community. On September 7, 2013, VAF staged their first ever art exhibit at Art Space Hartford. Artworks by 26 vets, including 2 presently serving, as well as 8 family members of veterans, were featured on display.
But I think what's untapped is the people that aren't trained artists, but there's a lot of artists doing art therapy, which I think is very important, and their work is important too, and it's very powerful. So I'd like to see more untrained artists that didn't go to school for it, but are in art therapy expressing themselves. I'd like to see more of their work. In high school, I only took 1 art class because I had to, so I wasn't really interested in art at all. And then when I got out of the service, I wanted to use my GI Bill, so I was like, I'll take 1 art class. So I took an art class just to kind of get my feet wet in the college world, and a teacher there told me, a professor told me that she really liked my work and she wanted to put it in a show. So that made me so excited that now I'm here and now I'm an art teacher.
And what's the name of this piece?
It's called Game Face. And the whole concept is my daughter, it's supposed to show my really macho soldier side and my feminine father side, because my daughter asked me if I ever saw anybody die. As you can imagine, me talking to my fellow veterans would be a lot different than talking to my 4-year-old daughter about it. So I wanted to show that.
The name of the piece is called it's The Call from Home, and for me it was actually what I was feeling at the time, the pain that we feel when we lose our brothers. And so I painted. I even try to get myself into painting, a little more scruffy at home when I'm painting, but it's a pain that we feel when we lose our brothers, and the guys in heaven are represented above the stairwell, the stairwell to heaven. And those are the guys calling us home if we choose that route, and which so many of our brothers have unfortunately chosen. The black silhouette with the face inside actually represents the civilian inside of us that we have to shut off in order to become a soldier and do our job. And the background there, I was actually going to go with an American flag, but I decided to go with Arlington Cemetery behind it. The clouds overhead, so that the cemetery kind of ties it all in with the soldiers in heaven waiting for us, and the guys down here still feeling the pain. Can't really show it, don't want to show it, hide it, bottle it up. And unfortunately, a lot of bottling up and hiding it eventually leads to that.
Art is one of the few things that I do that my mind isn't racing, or my eyeballs aren't scanning, or I'm not pacing, or whatever. It's something that puts me in flow. I know that's probably the case for everybody who's asked something here. We all have something that puts us in flow, and for a lot of men,
In flow, F-L-O-W?
yeah, like when you find an activity that you enjoy so much that time passes without you realizing it, that thing. Without those moments of just pure mental silence, you can't begin to unravel all that stuff, What we do on deployment is we master anxiety. The way you survive at deployment is to train someone to be the most anxious person they can be. That is how you live through it. By never letting your guard down, by always having your eyes peeled and your neck moving left to right, and you practice it for 365 days under a stressful environment. That's like scratching, a huge marker into a piece of paper, and it's not going to erase easily. Say to yourself, this is not how I'm supposed to be living my life, or to realize I fought for people to have a better life, and me too, and I'm not experiencing that. What I'm experiencing is some degraded version of what I should be living. And it could be a result of what you did in combat. It could be a result of your childhood and your upbringing with what you experienced in combat, which is what I think it generally is. It isn't what happens, but it's the lens you bring to combat with its stains and scratches that takes it all in a certain way. And just to unravel that, it takes courage. You have to go and explain to people how you are feeling sad, or feeling depressed, or feeling anxious, which for adult men is always difficult because we're all brought up to button up and keep it to yourself. And then for military people, it's more difficult yet because you're told to suck it up and drive on and get it done, and get it done, and get it done, and get it done. And you always put yourself last. And then once you build a habit, it's hard to break. So it takes a lot of courage to decide to go and talk to a group of men about feelings. Huge. That threshold is incredibly high that you have to cross. And once you do, and you go there and you say something and nobody chastises you for it, some people understand, others have gone through what you went through. Next thing you realize, you're in an environment of like-minded people who are self-aware enough to go and ask for help,
Rebirth, that's what I named it, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, basically rebuilding yourself.
Okay. And how did you come to be at this show here with the Veterans Art Foundation?
When I first started with a little art program in SADP down at VA in West Haven, and then I guess they just gave me a paintbrush and acrylic paint, and then that day, like a month and a half ago, that's when I first really ever learned how to paint. I never touched a paintbrush ever until like a month ago.
That's fabulous. That's fabulous. And
I never took any art school either. So.
What inspired that painting in you?
Yes, because I was suffering real bad. Like, I didn't realize I had it with PTSD, I guess, real bad. So I just was like in a living hell. I always felt like I was trapped like that. I was trapped up there. I couldn't get out. I could see how to get out, but I couldn't. And then I guess going to the VA and everything, basically I rebuilt myself from the inside out. And my wife helped me the whole time with the light. So I basically for her.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where to go to have more people see it. So I really want to be able to show everybody in the world.
If I can make one person's life better tonight, I did my job.
For every moment that you live under anxiety in a stressful environment, how many moments of peace does it take to unravel that? I don't know.